Hello from Mindset Daily, wishing you a day full of health, peace, and happiness. Thank you for watching the Mindset Daily channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support us. Thank you so much.
Have you ever wondered why life got harder right after you chose to do what's right? Why do those who once applauded you now seem to turn against you without warning? Could it be that the very resistance you're facing is proof that you're walking in divine purpose? When the hand of God is on your life, when His anointing rests heavily upon you, you'll draw attacks you never invited. Suddenly, resistance comes from places you never expected. The opposition seems illogical, almost relentless, and you find yourself questioning, why are those who once praised me now tearing me down? Why are doors that should have opened slamming shut in my face? Why am I doing everything right, yet still being pushed to my limits? Let me tell you the truth. It's because you're dangerously anointed. The moment you step fully into your divine assignment, the enemy pays attention. Before, you were simply another person drifting through life. But now, you're a living testimony of God's power. And that makes you a target. The enemy doesn't waste time on people with no calling. He attacks those marked by God for something significant. Just look at Joseph. It wasn't strangers who betrayed him. It was his own brothers. Why? Because he had a dream. Because God showed him a future that made others uncomfortable. The favor on his life provoked jealousy. And favor still does that today. Some of you are struggling to understand why the people you've loved, helped, and prayed for have suddenly turned their backs on you. But it's not about you. It's about what you carry. It's about the anointing on your life. David was anointed in secret, but when he stepped on the battlefield and brought down Goliath, everything changed. Saul saw the threat. The very man who should have mentored David, the one who should have guided and nurtured his gift, became his fiercest enemy. Not because David did anything wrong, but because the anointing on David's life exposed the insecurity buried deep within Saul's heart. That's the thing about true anointing. It doesn't just empower, it exposes. It shines a light on what's hidden. It reveals who is genuinely for you and who's been secretly against you all along. Some of you think you lost friends, but what you really gained was clarity. You didn't face rejection, you received protection. God didn't allow those people to leave your life by accident. He removed them because they couldn't carry the weight of your calling. They weren't built to walk beside someone with such a purpose. When you're anointed, you must grow comfortable with being misunderstood. People will make judgments about your character without ever knowing your heart. They'll question your motives, even when you're simply obeying what God asked of you. Remember, Jesus was flawless, yet they called him a liar, a blasphemer, and a threat. If they hated him, can you truly expect the world to always love you? If they try to destroy him, why should you be shocked when they try to tear you down? Anointing doesn't only bring blessings, it brings battles. It doesn't only draw favor, it draws fire. Along with doors of opportunity come arrows of opposition. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. If God has called you, no man on earth can cancel you. If God himself has anointed you, no demon in hell can stop what he's set in motion. I know some of you have cried out in silence, asking, God, why me? Why am I constantly under attack? Why does it always seem harder for me? But hear this, it's not because you're weak. It's because you are dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. You are marked by heaven, and the enemy knows that if you ever rise into the full measure of what God has for you, hell will lose ground. Every time you speak truth, chains begin to break. Every time you walk in your calling, darkness retreats. When you walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts. People can feel it, even if they can't explain it. That's why you've been under so much pressure. That's why the opposition seems to come from every angle. But hear me, don't quit now. Don't allow the attacks to make you question your purpose. Don't let the resistance make you second guess what God has already confirmed deep in your spirit. The enemy wouldn't be coming at you with this much force if you weren't carrying something valuable. The very weight you feel, the pressure that seems too much to bear, is not a sign of weakness. It's evidence of the anointing on your life. The enemy isn't interested in your past. He's threatened by your future. He's not trying to pull you back because of where you've been. He's trying to stop you because of where you're headed. So listen closely. The attack you're facing is not the end. It's a confirmation. What the enemy meant to use against you, God is about to flip for your good. Just like Joseph, thrown into a pit by those closest to him. What looked like a burial place became a bridge to the palace. And remember Jesus, what was meant to silence him, the cross, became the very thing that set the world free. The same pain that was meant to destroy you is what God will use to raise you. What the enemy thought would break you will be what God uses to build you stronger. So stand your ground. Wipe your tears. Square your shoulders and remember, you're not just anointed. You're dangerously anointed. And the intensity of your battle is proof that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Keep pressing forward. Don't stop now. The oil on your life is worth every fight, every tear, every lonely moment. There comes a moment when things start happening that you can't quite explain. Doors begin to open, doors you never knocked on. People begin to notice a light in you that you never tried to show. Resources appear, not because you chased them, but because they were drawn to the anointing on your life. And in that moment, while you're standing there trying to make sense of it all, wondering why now, it's not just coincidence. It's not luck, and it's definitely not random chance. What you're experiencing is the result of the anointing. When you are dangerously anointed, you move under an uncommon grace that propels you forward, beyond logic, beyond expectation, beyond what others can explain. Some of you have been wondering why opportunities seem to chase you down. Why do doors keep opening without you even knocking? Why do people who owe you nothing feel a deep pull to bless or support you? You look around and realize others have struggled for years to access what you received in a single moment. That's the power of walking with God's hand on your life. That's what it truly means to be dangerously anointed. It's not about being lucky. It's about being chosen. And when God chooses you, things move differently. But hear me, favor isn't fair. It will place you in rooms where your resume doesn't qualify you. It will swing open doors that others fought to keep closed. And when the moment of divine promotion comes, there isn't a demon in hell that can block it. Some people may not like what they see. Some will question your rise, try to dismiss it, or say, why them? Why now? Who do they think they are? But what they don't realize is, you didn't chase this. You didn't manipulate your way in. You didn't hustle or scheme to earn it. God did it. And when God opens a door, no man can shut it. Just look at David. He wasn't striving for position. He wasn't out campaigning or fighting for recognition. He was simply a shepherd boy, overlooked and forgotten in the field. But when the appointed time came, Samuel showed up carrying the oil. The anointing found David exactly where he was. He didn't go searching for the throne. The throne came looking for him. Some of you are exhausted from trying to force things to happen. But maybe the key is this: be faithful where you are. Stay committed to your assignment, even when no one sees you. Because when it's your time, the right opportunity won't pass you by. You won't have to beg, strive, or manipulate the outcome. God will move right on time. God himself will orchestrate the timing. And when that moment arrives, things won't just shift, they'll accelerate. Suddenly, everything starts moving fast. People will look at your life and wonder in amazement. How did you go from the field to the palace so quickly? How did you move from being ignored to being in high demand? How did someone who was once hidden step into such visible favor, almost overnight? It's called divine acceleration. God doesn't operate according to human timelines. When he says it's your time, what would normally take years can unfold in just days. That's why you can't waste your energy trying to explain your journey to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have the luxury of slowing down to accommodate those who are too distracted or too offended by the favor on your life. This isn't the season to shrink back. It's the season to rise up and step forward with boldness. And hear me, you don't owe anyone an apology for how God chooses to bless you. You don't have to downplay the grace on your life to make others feel more comfortable. You don't need to act like you're not favored just to keep the peace. Walk in it, own it, and above all, give God the glory for it. Because this is exactly what happens when you're anointed. You're not just someone out here trying to hustle your way to success. You're a vessel, chosen and set apart, carrying something supernatural that the world didn't give and the world can't take away. I know some of you have been holding back. You've been hesitant to fully step into this season. You're afraid of what you might lose. You don't want to be misunderstood. You're tired of dealing with jealousy, the whispers, the quiet shade, and the side comments. But let me remind you, favor always comes with friction. It's part of the cost. The same people who once cheered for you may now be the ones who question your every move. They were fine with you as long as you stayed small, as long as you stayed within their comfort zone. They were comfortable with you at one level, but the moment God began to elevate you, their true feelings started to surface. And now you face a choice. Will you keep yourself small just to keep others comfortable, or will you step boldly into what God has already prepared for you? Because the truth is, the favor of God cannot be hidden. You might try to minimize it, downplay it, or act like it's no big deal, but it still shines through. Joseph's story is the perfect example. His own brothers threw him into a pit, but it was favor that pulled him out. Potiphar's wife lied and tried to destroy his reputation, but favor found him in prison and positioned him there for purpose. Though forgotten by men, favor remembered him and took him directly to the palace. That's what happens when you're dangerously anointed. What was meant to bury you becomes the soil that grows your next breakthrough. What was designed to break you ends up building you. The very weapons formed against you become tools for your elevation. And what the enemy meant for evil, God will always turn around for your good. So don't fear this season. Don't second guess what God is unfolding in your life. Stop wondering whether you deserve it. It was never about what you earned. It was always about God choosing you for something greater. So walk in that favor. Move forward with confidence. Stop seeking validation from people who were never assigned to your destiny in the first place. What God is doing in your life is far bigger than their opinions. This is your moment. This is your season. And nothing, no delay, no detour, no enemy can stop what God has already set in motion. There comes a time when something begins to shift inside you. It's not just a thought or a passing emotion. It's a deep burden, a spiritual weight you can't shake. You try to brush it off. You try to distract yourself, but it lingers. It tugs at your heart. It wakes you up in the middle of the night. It stirs your soul in moments of stillness. And that's when you begin to realize this isn't just a dream. This isn't just passion. This isn't just personal conviction. It's a divine assignment. When God anoints you, He doesn't simply hand you a title. He places a burden on your spirit, a burden for souls, a burden for righteousness, a deep, unshakable burden to see lives transformed, hearts healed, and chains of bondage broken. And when you carry a burden like that, you can't live like everyone else. You can't settle into routine or casually drift through life. You can't be okay with compromise, and you can't ignore the things God has now given you eyes to see. When you're dangerously anointed, you begin to feel what God feels. His grief becomes your grief. What once entertained you now unsettles you. The things you used to tolerate, you can't stand them anymore. Why? Because when the Spirit of God is truly alive in you, He begins to shift everything. Your appetite changes. Your desires evolve. Suddenly, the distractions and pleasures of this world lose their grip on your heart. You begin to sense that you're being set apart, even if you can't fully explain it yet. Some of you have been feeling disconnected, out of place, like you no longer belong where you used to thrive. The conversations that once excited you now feel empty. The environments that used to comfort you now feel foreign. And a reason? God is calling you deeper. He's doing something within you that can't be satisfied with surface-level faith. You don't just want church routines anymore. You're desperate for His presence. You're not content with powerful sermons alone. You long for real transformation. It's not about momentary inspiration. You're seeking impartation. That stirring inside you, that holy hunger that won't go away, it's because you're carrying something greater than yourself. And I know, it's not easy. This calling doesn't come without a cost. It can feel heavy. You carry the weight of others' pain, their silent battles, their unseen wounds. You walk into a room and sense the atmosphere shift. You feel the brokenness before it's spoken. You don't just hear words, you discern hearts. You see beyond smiles and sense what's buried beneath. You can sense what people are carrying even when they don't say a word. And sometimes it's overwhelming. You don't always know what to do with what you're feeling. But hear this, God didn't give you that burden to break you. He gave it to you so you would intercede, so you would pray with boldness, so you would speak truth in moments where others choose silence. When you're dangerously anointed, passivity is not an option. You can't afford to sit on the sidelines while those around you are being lost to confusion, darkness, and despair. There's too much on the line. The calling on your life is too important. And I need you to really hear this. You were not put here just to survive. You weren't placed on this earth just to get by. You've been assigned to this generation for such a time as this. You carry an answer this world desperately needs. You carry the fire of God. You carry the ability to shift the atmosphere around you simply by showing up with His presence. And the enemy knows that. That's why he's been after your focus. That's why discouragement keeps knocking. That's why fear and doubt try to weigh you down. Because if you ever fully step into what God has designed you for, the gates of hell will begin to lose ground. But now is not the time to play it safe. This is not the moment to dim your light. This is the hour to rise, to speak boldly, to declare what God has placed on your heart, even if it's not popular, especially when it's not popular. Because the truth is, real anointing will offend. Carrying truth will confront what others want to hide. Walking in power will naturally expose what is powerless. And not everyone will be comfortable around that. But remember, you weren't called to keep people comfortable. You were called to set captives free. The prophet Jeremiah once said, "I try to keep quiet, but it was like fire shut up in my bones." That's what it feels like when you're anointed. You can't stay silent. You can't pretend not to see. You can't bury the calling, no matter how hard you try. The more you suppress it, the more it burns. The more you try to suppress it, the more it burns within you. And some of you, you've been running from the very thing God has called you to do. You've been trying to blend in, to stay under the radar, to live quietly. But the oil on your life refuses to be hidden. You tried to remain silent, but the fire in your bones keeps pushing, demanding to be released. You try to do things your way, hoping it would be easier, hoping it would hurt less. But God is calling you higher. And yes, that calling comes with a cost. I know the burden can feel heavy. I know it would be simpler to choose a normal life, to just go through the motions, to live without carrying so much emotional and spiritual weight. But you weren't created for easy. You weren't anointed for comfort. You were chosen to carry His heart, to walk wherever He sends you, to speak whatever He tells you to say. And if that means standing alone, then so be it. If it means losing people you once leaned on, so be it. If it means being misunderstood, criticized, or rejected, then so be it. Because at the end of the day, when you stand before God, it won't be the opinions of others that determine your reward. It will be your obedience. It won't be about how popular you were. It'll be about whether you follow the assignment. So don't run from the burden. Don't resent the weight of your calling. That weight is evidence that you've been trusted with something divine. It's proof that what you carry didn't come from man. It came from heaven. Let that burden push you deeper into prayer. Let it drive you into the secret place where clarity lives. Because when you finally surrender, when you say yes with everything in you, nothing on earth or in hell will be able to stop what God is about to do through your life. There comes a moment when everything starts to shift. You begin to see things others overlook. You listen to conversations, but your spirit picks up on what's really being said beneath the surface. You walk into a room, and before a word is spoken, you already feel the spiritual atmosphere. You sense what's coming before it arrives. No, it's not paranoia. It's not overthinking. It's the anointing. And when you're dangerously anointed, when you're anointed, God gives you a level of insight that others simply don't have. You begin to move with a divine awareness, a prophetic discernment, and a spiritual understanding that cannot be explained by logic alone. It's not just intuition, it's revelation. And some of you have been quietly wondering, why do I sense things before they happen? Why do I walk into certain places and immediately feel the tension, the heaviness, the unspoken weight in the atmosphere? Maybe you've been having dreams or visions. Maybe you've experienced moments where you suddenly know something with deep certainty, even though no one told you, and nothing seems to confirm it in the natural. That's because when you carry the anointing, God doesn't let you move blindly. He illuminates your path in ways others can't see. He speaks to your spirit in whispers. He shows you glimpses of what's coming. He gives you subtle warnings, quiet prompts, and divine strategies to navigate storms that haven't even arrived yet. And that's not something to take lightly. This is not ordinary. This is not just a good feeling. It's the supernatural wisdom of God working through you. That's why people are drawn to you for advice, even when they don't fully understand why. That's why you can walk into a situation and instantly know something isn't right. That's why your heart sometimes carries a burden for things that haven't even unfolded yet. Because God is preparing you in advance. He's giving you a head start, so that when others are caught off guard, you're already positioned to respond. But here's something you must remember. Not everyone will understand. Not everyone will see what you see. Not everyone will hear what you hear. And that's okay. When God speaks to you, He's not waiting for group approval. He's looking for your obedience. Some of you have been exhausting yourselves. Try to explain what God is revealing to you. You've been frustrated deeply because people around you just don't get it. They look at you like you're overreacting, like you're blowing things out of proportion. They don't see what you see, so they assume you're imagining things. But hear me clearly, you're not crazy. You're not delusional. You're not making things up in your head. You're discerning. You're sensing things in the spirit that others are blind to. And yes, that kind of sensitivity can feel isolating. It can feel like a heavy weight to carry, especially when God shows you what's coming, but no one else is willing to believe it. It's hard when you receive a word from the Lord, but those around you shrug it off or dismiss it like it's nothing. That kind of rejection stings. But even when it's hard, you have to trust what He's showing you. You have to keep moving with what He's whispering to your heart, even if you're the only one who understands the assignment. Because remember, Noah looked insane until the rain started falling. Joseph looked prideful until famine swept through the land. Elijah seemed irrational until fire fell from heaven. So when God gives you insight, don't expect everyone to validate it immediately. Sometimes people won't understand until it's too late. Until the thing God warned you about has already come to pass. But by then, you'll be standing exactly where He prepared you to be, fully equipped for what others never saw coming. That's why you can't afford to ignore His voice. You can't afford to dismiss the gentle nudges or question the visions. You can't minimize the gift of discernment that's been entrusted to you. Because when God anoints someone, He reveals things for a reason. Sometimes He reveals things to warn you. Sometimes it's to prepare you. And sometimes it's to prompt you to intercede, to stand in the gap and shift the outcome before it ever happens. Some of you have been waking up in the middle of the night with specific names on your heart, and you're not sure why. That's not random. That's not just a strange thought. That's God prompting you to pray. Some of you have been feeling a strange sense of urgency about certain situations, an intensity you can't explain and just can't seem to shake. That's not anxiety. That's divine insight. Others have been having dreams so vivid, so specific, they feel too real to be ignored. That's not just your imagination running wild. That's God revealing something important to your spirit. So the question becomes, what will you do with what He's showing you? Because here's the truth. When God gives you insight, it comes with responsibility. You can't afford to stay passive. You can't sit silently on the warnings He's revealing. You can't assume that someone else will take care of it or that it's not your place. When God speaks, it's because He's calling you to respond. When He reveals something, it's because He expects you to act. Even if the strategy doesn't make sense to others, even if you're the only one who sees it, you still have to trust it. I know it's not easy. I know it can feel heavy. It can feel like a weight you're not sure you're ready to carry. But hear this, it's not a burden, it's an honor. God doesn't reveal things to just anyone. He doesn't waste His voice on ears that won't listen. If He's whispering to your heart, it's because He trusts you with what He's saying. If He's giving you vision others can't see, it's because He's preparing you for something greater than you can currently imagine. So don't doubt it. Don't downplay it. Don't second-guess the clarity he's placing inside you. Walk in it. Trust it. Lean into it. Because when you're dangerously anointed, God will show you things hidden from others. And when he does, you must be ready to move with urgency and obedience. There comes a time when the pressure builds, when the warfare intensifies, and when the attacks feel more personal than ever. Suddenly, the very people you expected to support you begin to turn away. And in those moments, you start asking yourself, what did I do wrong? You begin to question, why is this happening to me? You're facing resistance, but I need you to understand this clearly. It's not because you're failing. It's happening because you're anointed. When you carry the oil of God, you won't just attract blessings. You will attract opposition. When you're dangerously anointed, you will be misunderstood. You'll be misrepresented. You might even be mistreated. Not because you've done something wrong, but because of what you carry. The enemy doesn't bother with what's average. He doesn't waste energy attacking the stagnant or the spiritually disengaged. He's not threatened by comfort zones. But when someone is marked by God, when someone starts walking in their divine assignment, hell takes notice. And some of you, let's be honest, you've been under attack not because you're weak, but because you're powerful. The enemy can see what's on you. He sees the calling. He sees the potential. He sees the fire on your life. And he's terrified of what will happen when you fully embrace it. That's why he's been trying to wear you down, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. He wants you discouraged. He wants you second-guessing. He wants you to quit before you even begin. But hear this, if the attack has intensified, it means you're getting closer. If the pressure has grown heavier, it's because you're on the edge of something significant. The closer you get to breakthrough, the louder the resistance becomes. Just look at David. Before the anointing, he was just a shepherd boy, faithfully tending sheep, living in obscurity. But after the oil touched his head, everything changed. The moment the anointing was released, the attacks began. Suddenly, Saul, who once welcomed him, wanted him dead. Before the anointing, David was minding his own business in the fields. After the anointing, he became a target. Because when the anointing of God is on your life, you don't get to stay hidden. The enemy recognizes who you are even before you do. He sees the assignment resting on your life. And his goal is to stop you before you fully discover the weight of what God has placed inside of you. That's why some of you have been facing battles that seem completely irrational. Attacks that don't make any sense. Opposition that appears out of nowhere. No warning, no explanation. People you trusted, people you thought were with you, suddenly shifting, turning against you without cause. And yes, it hurts. It's confusing. It's frustrating. But let me tell you something important. This is not a sign that you're losing. This is a sign that you're carrying something dangerous. You're walking with power, and the enemy is doing everything he can to stop you before you even get started. He wants to silence you, shake your confidence, distract you, and make you give up before the breakthrough even begins to unfold. But this is not the time to shrink back. This is not the time to let fear or doubt take over. This is not the moment to question whether or not you're really called. No, this is the time to plant your feet and stand firm in faith. Because let's be honest, the enemy wouldn't be fighting you this hard if you weren't a threat. He wouldn't be launching attacks like this unless he was terrified of what you're about to step into. So instead of letting the attacks defeat you, let them confirm what you already know in your spirit. God's hand is on your life. And if God's hand is on your life, no weapon formed against you will prosper. The opposition may come, but it won't succeed. Yes, I know it gets lonely. I know there are moments when it feels incredibly unfair. You didn't ask for this fight. You didn't ask for the jealousy, the betrayal, the false accusations. You didn't sign up to be misunderstood or misrepresented. But let me remind you, Jesus didn't ask for it either. He was fully anointed and yet completely rejected. He was chosen and still betrayed. He was sent with purpose, yet crucified by the very people he came to save. And yet, what looked like the end was only the beginning. What seemed like defeat was the doorway to eternal victory. So if even Jesus had to endure it, why do you think you won't? When you are dangerously anointed, resistance is part of the journey. But the resistance is not your downfall. It's your confirmation. It's the undeniable proof that you carry something the enemy fears. This, right here, is your confirmation that you are on the right path. The battles you're facing, the attacks that seem to come out of nowhere, are not signs of failure. They are signs of your assignment. They are proof that you carry something heaven ordained. So stop exhausting yourself, try to explain your calling to people who were never meant to understand it. Stop shrinking yourself to earn validation from those who have already made up their minds to misunderstand you. Why waste energy proving yourself to those who have chosen doubt over discernment? The truth is, their opinions don't carry the authority to cancel what God has spoken over your life. So don't let their voices become louder than His promises. Because here's what's coming. The very people who rejected you, who laughed at your vision, who dismissed your potential, will have to stand back and watch as God elevates you. They'll witness what they tried to sabotage unfold right before their eyes. And they won't be able to stop it. Just like Joseph's brothers had no choice but to bow before the brother they once threw in a pit. Just like David's family had to watch the shepherd boy take the throne. Just like those who mocked Jesus had to witness His resurrection with their own eyes, what God has placed on your life cannot be stolen. And what He has spoken over you cannot be undone. So don't let the weight of the attack crush you. Don't allow the pressure to silence your voice. Don't let spiritual warfare convince you to step back, when this is the exact moment you need to stand firm. The enemy is not fighting you because you're weak. He's fighting you because he knows he can't stop what's coming. The intensity of the opposition is increasing because you are stepping into something greater. The battle is intensifying because breakthrough is just around the corner. And if you simply hold your ground, if you keep believing, keep moving forward, keep praying, and keep pressing in, nothing, absolutely nothing, will be able to stop what God has already set in motion for your life. Stay encouraged, stay faithful, and stay focused. Wishing you strength, peace, and overflowing joy. And don't forget to subscribe to Mindset Daily for more messages that keep your spirit strong.